What is up, everybody, and welcome back to This is the Waypoint, the show here on Shared Screens where we talk all things Star Wars. And we got a very special episode for you today because we are covering, that's right, Tales of the Jedi. Oh my god, dude. I absolutely freaking love this show. I am joined by Aaron and Alec. Brett already has Dooku Diaries out on YouTube. You can go watch those if you want his thoughts. And then Chris, Abducted by the Empire. I don't know if we'll ever see him again. Maybe, maybe not.
May the
Who
force be
knows?
with him wherever he is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then, of course, we also have Andor going at the same time. So please be sure to check out the Andor episodes of This is the Waypoint. We also got a lot of reviews. It's game season. A
Lot of
lot of
reviews.
just game reviews. Yeah.
The Gotham Knights
Yeah,
one is
so
a good one. It might be one of our most chaotic pieces of content.
I'm all there for that, and I'm excited
You
to
love to
check it
see
out.
it.
Yeah, exactly. But without further ado, let's get into it. Tales of the Jedi. I want to start with you, Aaron. You're new to Star Wars
So,
animation?
a little bit, yeah. I've seen maybe a handful of Clone Wars episodes. I've seen maybe one or two episodes of Rebels and stuff. And I don't discredit them or anything. It was just when I was younger, when those shows were airing, like I didn't have cable, so I couldn't watch like Clone Wars on Cartoon Network or anything like that. But
Right.
these shorts were fantastic, and they've only gotten more beautiful looking with the animation.
Oh
And
yeah.
like me not knowing a super like encyclopedic knowledge about Ahsoka's character, like she's awesome. Like she's really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
And I as much as I hate to say it, watching it, I was doing the Thanos maybe I treated you a bit too harshly meme towards Count Dooku, because I was like,
right.
all right, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, they
You
were
got
they were
some
really
points.
well done. They were really cool. I really hope for another season of this with like different characters, because this was
Absolutely.
really, really cool.
Does this at all compel you to now go watch Clone Wars and Rebels?
Well, so in that episode where Rex is leading Ahsoka into like that firing line with all the clones and stuff, I
Hmm.
immediately watched, instead of going on to like the next episode, or maybe that was the last episode. No, it wasn't the last episode.
Second to
So right
last.
after that one ended, I went onto YouTube and watched the scene that takes place after that, because I was like, well,
Hell yeah.
I want to see this.
Oh
So,
yeah.
which is really
Yeah.
cool.
You have my highest possible recommendation on checking out all of Clone Wars, even if you just skip some arcs here and there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alec, I'd say you're our resident Star Wars animation guy. What did you think about this show,
Oh,
man?
I loved it. Like one of my notes I wrote, like I think this is even in my episode one. Yeah, right in my episode one notes. This is giving Pixar a run for their money. Like
Yeah,
these
man.
looked immaculate,
Mhm.
and getting to see my girl Ahsoka again. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. And yeah, getting to dive a bit deeper on Dooku, like seeing that this is literally taking place right in episode one and like
Hmm.
Mhm.
running right up to beginning of episode two was so cool. And
Absolutely.
just I know these were shorts, but man, I would have loved just an entire like full length episodes from these because
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
they I just they're these characters are two, or at least Ahsoka's one of my favorites in Clone Wars and even in Rebels. Well, a little bit of a
Mhm.
spoiler there, but and then Dooku, like he was definitely like kind of the lower tier villains from the prequels, but it was so cool seeing like I remember even as a kid hearing, oh he's a Sith, but he was a Jedi. Like so, getting to see
Right.
that backstory was so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking at the like I was saying, how the animation looks a lot better. Like I would 100% have no problem with watching a full movie or a full series of movies like that, because they looked
Yeah.
incredible. But I mean, as much
Mhm.
as I like the vignette style of just like making it like a cool short with like a beginning, middle, and end, like I would definitely watch a longer format
Mhm.
thing like that.
Absolutely. And I'm right there with you guys. I love these shorts. I think like when it comes to Filoni animation, I'm always expecting them to add more to what's already established because that's basically what Clone Wars does. And
Hmm.
Mhm.
this show did an absolute great job with actually making Count Dooku a compelling character for
Right.
once, Even in
Hmm.
the Clone Wars, like he's a little bit of a
Yeah.
two-dimensional villain. He's kind of like a placeholder or like a pawn to Sidious, but here his character is just elevated and the way he's questioning the Jedi's constantly. I love that. As we said, it's beautiful. We said this with Bad Batch, like just that this animation style is improving, and somehow they upped it from Bad Batch, and I can't believe just how gorgeous they're making this look. And then yeah, I thought all the Ahsoka stuff was incredible. I would have loved to see a tad bit more from her, but I thought that it was still great. Also, this was one of my notes. All in timeline order. I thought we'd bounce back and forth. We'd do like a Ahsoka episode, Dooku episode, Ahsoka episode, Dooku episode, all in timeline order. So it's
I
like
guess I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Ahsoka's birth, then we jump to Dooku and
Dooku.
young Qui Gon on a mission, then right into a separate mission, and then episode one, and then right two with like post two with Ahsoka,
Hmm.
and then straight up to three and beyond three, and I thought that was
Yeah.
incredible. So where I want to take us now, let's just go half and half. We pretty basics, like you know, e- like two arcs going on basically, where both of them are tied by the fact that they're both Jedi who have left and questioned the Jedi Order, and so
Hmm.
I love tying those two together. And so let's start with the Dooku stuff. All the thoughts, all the notes. Let's just jump straight into it. What did we think?
Go ahead, Alec.
Um, I was gonna with episode 2. I didn't really have too many notes from that. I mean, getting Qui Gon back, awesome. One of my
Hmm.
favorite Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, and just the fact that it's Liam Neeson's son that did the voice for young
Yes.
Qui Gon was so cool, and then Liam Neeson himself just coming back for Qui Gon,
Hmm.
Hmm.
that was awesome. I know
Yeah,
this probably would
I
have been
thought
like an hour for him in the booth, if that.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah. As cool as it was having like the trivia of, oh yeah, that's Liam Neeson's son playing young Qui-Gon. I did kind of
Mhm.
think that his voice acting was kind of like, but like it's
Yeah.
fine. It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, more Qui-Gon's never a bad thing.
Exactly. I
But oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love the planet that they're on, like how famine riddled it is, how they're like definitely going through tough times to the point where they're forcing themselves to uh take on this act of kidnapping a senator's son because they
Yeah.
have no
Yeah.
other options, and Dooku's there to uphold the peace, but like they're not like, even they're being questioned by the villagers. They're like, "Oh, you're here for the Senate. You're not here for us. Like you claim to be here for us, but like who really are you here for?" I
Right.
loved all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that moment where like Dooku's getting business done, and then Qui-Gon's like, "Master," and he just straight up pushes Qui-Gon back, and he's like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm
Yeah.
doing something."
That's why I'm
Yeah.
like,
It was
he's totally not going
badass.
to be a Sith Lord one day.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, but like I get it though, he's like he's frustrated seeing these people suffer, and the fact like where they're going to, and the fact that they're giving the Jedi a bad name, and he's just choking them
Yeah.
straight out. And
Hmm.
yeah, I thought all this was fantastic, and it's the son and Qui-Gon that end up saving him and pulling him back
Yeah.
a little bit to the light, but not not
Not
fully just
enough.
yet.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was enough to snap him out of that moment, but then stuff's gonna happen later, and he's gonna be like, "Okay, my lightsaber's gonna be red soon."
Basically, and then we got the next episode. Loved the chemistry between Mace and Dooku here quite a bit. One of my big notes was a quote here: "Your devotion to rules is sometimes inspiring and sometimes maddening." I love that, and this whole episode about questioning. The Jedi are just so complacent and just letting this death go,
Hmm.
but not Count Dooku. And I thought that's like really what elevated his character is the fact that he's devoted to the Jedi in a right, quote unquote, right way, where he's like, no, like we can't just be fine with the status quo. We gotta be looking deeper into this, and the mystery at play here I really loved in the second episode, or second Dooku episode at least.
Yeah, and at the end of that episode, when he finds out Mace is getting that like
The
council seat,
council
and he's
seat.
like,
Yeah.
"Did you know about this the whole time?" And he's just
Yeah,
like, "I did what I had to do, man. Sorry."
yeah,
Like, kind of
yeah. He
rough,
gets
man.
And
he gets fucked over.
Yeah.
yeah. Just another thing
Uh,
with this episode in particular, like that scene where the ship is going over the forest and you get like all those bright oranges and yellows from the autumn leaves is like,
Yeah.
oh, just another amazing shot.
And then
Yeah,
the juxtaposition of that in one of the later episodes, where like the episode with Yaddle where she's following him, and like the music's all Blade Runner-y and all the imagery is like
Yeah.
very Blade Runner. It was
yes,
so cool.
yeah, absolutely. And I love him putting it together. I think what this show does really well is the tension and like tension
Hmm.
building all
Oh
throughout
yeah.
it, and like when he's like, but you know the blaster fire must have come from the ship, and there's not a single dent on the ship, and he immediately draws
Hmm.
his lightsaber, and he's like,
Right.
what's going on, and they duke it out, you know, quite literally, a little pun there,
Dooku it out.
and Dooku it out, and the leader's son, still dedicated to the cause, tries to shoot him. Dooku deflects it, kills him, and
Hmm.
gets it down. And another note here, Jedi are lapdogs of the Senate. Their bidding always comes first. It's evident throughout the galaxy. Jedi claim peace, but keep law and order for the rich and powerful. Man's really said a jab. All Jedi are bastards, and I fucking loved this. And even Dooku comes up to him in the end. Your ideology, while faulty, does have its points, and you see the wheels turning. You see the conflict growing,
Hmm.
and him pulling out to the point where it leads us to the third episode. He's erasing Camino. I love that direct
Yeah.
connection,
That
straight
was
to
Yes.
so
Attack of the
cool
Clones.
that it's like
I
we
was
have solid confirmation now that it was him who did it.
right. I was like, real quick before I leave that second Dooku episode, I would say it was really cool actually getting to see a Jedi funeral in the Jedi Temple, because we've always seen
Yes.
them away from the temple. So
Like a super
Mhm.
traditional like Jedi funeral.
Yeah,
That was
yeah, and
awesome.
the beam of light going up
Hmm.
into the
yeah,
sky, or just the roof of the Jedi Temple. I thought that was all incredible. Yeah,
because
Yeah.
absolutely.
yeah, I was just like it. Yeah, really, just kind of just here sitting here thinking like, yeah, we've never seen a Jedi funeral at the temple. It's always been off Coruscant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
didn't they have Qui-Gon's on Naboo?
Yep, and that's actually
yeah,
mentioned in this next episode
Right. Yeah,
because they
yeah,
said the
yeah.
and that
council's headed to Naboo.
Yeah, it's so crazy because like Dooku deleted the
Camino
record
file.
of Sifo-Dyas like during the events of Phantom Menace. Because
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
didn't he delete it? And then they're like, "Oh yeah, Qui-Gon says that he like encountered a Sith Lord," and they're like, "Whoa, that's crazy." And then
Yep.
like it cuts to later when he's like meditating by the tree and
Mhm.
reminiscing like to himself, because that's where he
Mhm.
took Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon was born on Coruscant, and he's like, "Yeah, this is a planet of steel and stone, but Qui-Gon had never really seen trees like this, so I took him here, and he loved it." But
Yeah.
it's just, you can sense the attachment and the sadness that Dooku has over the loss of his Padawan, which sucks.
Oh yeah. Especially when at the beginning of the episode, they are like, "Whoa, that's crazy! Like, can't believe it, buddy!" And then they just kind of go on Jedi business as usual, and like,
Mhm.
Count Dooku's like contesting Yaddle, and he's like, "Yo, do you not believe him? Like, what? Like, this is a threat that's meant to be
Yeah.
taken
And
seriously." And then,
then Yaddle's like, "Nah, I'm not saying I don't believe him. I'm just saying we have to like be cautious towards this stuff." Also, shout out to Bryce Dallas Howard for voicing Yaddle, because
Yeah.
she's
yeah, man,
awesome. I was expecting her to talk like Yoda, but I guess the only reason Yoda talks like that is because like that's how his master used to speak. So I guess that's just how Like he just adopted that from his master. It's kind of strange, but she did a great job.
Yeah, 100%. And she carried it all the way throughout, and I love
She's a
her lines
badass.
with Dooku and trying to sympathize with them and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And you feel like you definitely feel the emotional pain in like both their hearts. Like
Mhm.
Dooku obviously looking at the tree, and he's like, "Well, would I even be welcome there? Like I'm sure my presence isn't welcome there." And she's like, "Well, you
Right.
do blame them for the loss of your Padawan," and he's like, "Yeah, well, they kind of are." You
Yeah, it's
know,
kind of
like
their
I
fault.
Mhm.
yeah. Both just absolutely killing it. And then,
I love.
go for it.
I was just gonna say, I love. There's the quote that is mirrored in Episode 1 that Dooku says to Qui Gon about you're being the wiser man, and then
Mhm.
Qui Gon says that to Obi-Wan during Episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Obi-Wan says something similar in his last conversation to Anakin, and it's just
Mhm.
tug at the heartstrings,
It's
man.
like
It'll have you
poetry,
crying in
it
the club.
rhymes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I do really like how, as you're a kid and you're watching Star Wars, you're like, oh, Jedi, they're the ultimate good. They're awesome. They're so cool, man. There's nothing wrong with these perfect space religious beings. And then as, the franchise progressed and as you get older, you're like, you start questioning the Jedi yourself. And you're like, well,
Mhm.
what? But if they're
100%.
not allowed to do that, then why? But huh? And then as it goes
Yeah.
along more and more and more, it's like, dude, these guys are kind
Mhm.
of like misguided. Not in like
Mhm.
I'm joining the dark side way, because that's not a good way to go about it either. Ahsoka had it
Right.
right, honestly. Ahsoka had it
Yeah.
100% right.
Absolutely. And yeah, we basically just, Yaddle, Tails, Dooku,
Which,
you know.
do spaceships not have rear view mirrors? Because
Yeah,
Yaddle does not
man.
leave that far after
Or
Dooku,
radar.
right? It's
But
like,
like my thing is like, but how do you not hear that? Like
right.
Yeah.
everything's
Dude,
off, perfectly
I
quiet.
was I was thinking the same thing. How do you stealth park a
Yeah.
fucking spaceship? You know?
You
Mhm.
unless there's like a way to kill the engines and coast. Like if there's
Yeah,
a way to do
Yeah,
that, then
true.
sure, but I don't know.
yeah. And I loved here. Even Dooku gets to Sidious, and he's like, I've betrayed everyone, and
Mhm.
like this isn't bringing peace. This isn't like
It's just
fixing
bringing
anything.
death.
Yeah, 100%. And then Yaddle and Palpatine both trying to he's like almost like a dog in the middle, and they're like,
Oh,
yo, like
Right.
this shot
trying to get
too.
him.
I have a note. It's just the cool like the metaphor they have there, like Yaddle in the light, Sidious in the dark, and then
Yeah,
Dooku
Dooku
in the
like in the
middle.
middle. Like,
yeah,
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty
and
sure that was Ian McDermott as the Emperor,
yeah,
which
I,
is great.
hell yeah. Oh,
mhm.
fantastic. And
This
just
cast was
another,
awesome.
yeah, exactly. And just another great moment of bringing out, the tension. Obviously we know where Dooku lies, but in the moment you don't know what he's gonna do, and it leads to dope lightsaber battle. And my God, when he closes the door on Yaddle, that
Yeah,
was some of the most
so
violent
brutal,
shit I've
so
ever seen
brutal.
in Star Wars.
Yeah, I was like, God damn. And then
Right?
like the door just opens and it's like,
The Force
whoa,
theme
yeah,
just
that's fucking
swells.
sick.
Yes, man. The music
Just
hits.
like,
You're like, oh
fuck
my God.
you.
And you're like, what's gonna happen next? And she just falls forward and
Bam.
just
Just
Which
yeah,
right to the
so
ground.
weak.
I'm just curious. Like, when I know it's kind of technically supposed to be a kids show and all that, but like,
Hmm.
wouldn't there be a little bit of blood or like something like to be kind of like perfectly fine? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a pretty big door, and Yaddle's a pretty small lady. So
Yeah,
maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. But
or maybe
yeah,
it was just like
she
she
didn't.
caught it just in time before it hit her.
Yeah, she
yeah.
didn't get. Maybe she didn't get like punctured or something. I don't know. Like maybe she
Mhm.
just caught it enough where it was like that.
Well, I do
Yeah.
remember seeing the door where it was like it had like the two like blade or the locking mechanism on each side, and then it had like a smooth
Mhm.
part in the middle. So she got. I think I
Yeah.
remember her being in the middle part. So that
Hmm.
at least makes more sense why she didn't get like jabbed through with one of
Yeah,
those
because
spikes.
Yeah.
at first I was like, oh, but she's weak because the door hit her. But I think it might have just been expelling that much energy from such a small
Mhm.
person. And then
Yeah.
Dooku's just like, or what does she say? She's like, Dooku's like, I want peace and order or something like that, and she's like, how many people have already died and suffered because of you, because you want to keep order? And he's like, well, let me give you peace then, and he fucking turns his lightsaber on and just brains her.
Yeah,
Insane.
and like that's the power of the Clone Wars too. Although kids cartoon, that label gets thrown around, still brutal moments. There's
Dude,
like
that like him killing Yaddle was like one of the darker Star Wars moments I've seen, and it was like, hey, kid show.
Well,
Like, no, it's not a kid
I'll
show.
say there's been a lot of people I've seen a lot of things where it's like, Clone Wars. There's like a lot of times where they violate the like Geneva Convention stuff on that show.
Yeah.
yeah. They commit war crimes. There's like emotional shit, like Band of Brothers shit, and wars
Yeah.
with the clones. Like there's still politics. Like you get everything when it comes to Clone Wars, and this Tales of the Jedi somehow perfectly echoed that. And I think from there, let's move on to the Ahsoka stuff.
I will
Episode
say
1,
real quick,
last thoughts. Yeah.
this episode or the last episode of the Dooku arc, that was probably my favorite of the 6.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, I like
all of them.
Dooku's story a lot.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I think that like I did have a little bit of a, well, I treated you unfairly thing, but that was before we had this information. Everything after this, like this moment of him turning to the dark side, is kind of like, it kind of leaves more to be desired. But that moment, like, I felt really bad for him.
Yeah.
Like, because
Yeah.
not just the conflict, but like he has to live with his actions, and then eventually he's just like, I'm just a villain now. I don't care. But also,
Yeah.
last thing on Dooku. Shout out to Dooku for making capes like a cool thing to just do, like wear in Star Wars. Just rocks a cape at all times, and it's so sick looking.
Absolutely. I can't wait for the Black Series figure of Tales of the Jedi Dooku.
Oh,
please,
yeah.
Please give it to us, Hasbro.
Young
I know.
Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I know it'll come out like in 3 years from now, but please, please. But jumping over.
Give us a baby Ahsoka and the big cat like 2-pack.
Yeah, man.
It's such a hype
leading
moment.
Straight into episode 1 of the show and Ahsoka's arc. I just love that this was more a tonal piece than anything. I felt like just getting to live with Ahsoka's tribe and seeing their day to day. The fact that she's hunting with a baby, I was like, okay, that's a little extreme. You're just gonna hold a blaster and just shoot it right into that baby's ears, like a little fucked up. But I was there for all of it.
But it's really cool seeing the different cultures in the Star Wars universe, and even doing they're having their traditions and customs. Like, and another note I have is it's always so cool in Star Wars where, because I always watch with subtitles on, and in those cases in episode 1, it just says like speaking or speaks whatever that language is. They don't actually translate what they're saying, which is always such a cool touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, and you can just similar to Book of Boba Fett, you can read it all through actions and facial expressions, and just the blank reactions they're like having to certain events. You can always like read and tell the deeper subtext and emotion there. And I really love that part of the tribe and all that stuff. And the hunt again, still building tension. From all the way from the deer shot, I was like, did smugglers or pirates kill Ahsoka's mom, or did she actually get the shot off like you were kind of left to believe? And then big fucking space tiger comes out.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
It reminds me of, like, I don't know if you guys are ever into Power Rangers all that often, but it looked almost exactly like the white tiger.
Saber-tooth tiger.
Yeah, man.
That's
like
sick.
the white tiger, like, because it was like big and bulky like that one.
Right.
The saber-tooth tiger was more like kind of skinny and
yeah. It reminded me of Battle Cat from He-Man.
Oh
yellow.
Yep.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah.
Shout out to Ahsoka's mom holding her own, getting some shots off. They're fighting, tension's still rising.
Such a cool moment that was like, because like the basically the leader of the tribe, I guess, that when she heard the one shot and go off for the deer, but then like when she was firing at the tiger, like 3 blasts go off, and she's just like, oh, that's not good. And then she just sends the dogs to go get everybody. And
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start to. it's almost as if she's like force sensitive too, and you get the feeling that she can sense certain things throughout the
Mm-hmm.
force as well, and that's definitely one of them. The way she's like looking off into the sky and just trying to figure out what's going on while not presently being there. Uh,
Hmm.
and then once Ahsoka's brought back safe because she puts her hand on the nose, and they have a bond. She's the first to read Ahsoka's Jedi.
Yep.
What a great way to end that episode on just on some hype, especially knowing what comes
Right.
after. It's like
Exactly.
God
Yeah.
damn, the Pierce of the Jedi.
So
Do we
cool.
have did we have anything else on this one, or do we go straight to episode 2? Practice makes perfect.
I
So we
think we
go
could
on. Yeah.
probably move on. The moment where the big cat had like the like shots or the scratches on his hand and just started licking them. I'm just like, feel bad for you, man. I get it. I totally
Yeah,
get you,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
100%. But episode 2. I love this one. This might be I don't know. I gotta think back on it, but this is definitely up there for me. I love Anakin in traditional Clone Wars fashion showing up late.
That's
Shout out,
one of my notes.
yeah, shout out to Mullet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
That's a good
dude.
one.
You're
Fucking just
right on
rocking it.
time.
Yeah,
Because
I thought I was
I don't
late. That's
think
what I meant.
I don't think in Clone Wars. I think the mullet's gone by then.
it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
So this is like the
some.
only time we get to see mullet Obi-Wan in this art
Yeah,
style.
Hell
yeah, and
yeah.
it's fantastic, and I love the training they're going
Mm-hmm.
through, similar to what Luke goes through, but cranked up to 10. And shout out Kanan for being in the room and being amazed by what,
Yeah.
uh,
It
I
took me a second to realize who that was.
I
And like
just realized it
right,
now after you said
it
it.
took me until they were walking by in the hallway and I was like, that's Kanan, that's crazy.
right, like he had the like little like facial reaction of like, oh my god, this is so cool, but you
Well, I
don't hear.
recognized his master and I was like, wait, that
Oh,
must mean that's him. That's cool.
Yeah, I put that together from UC Order 66 in the first episode of Bad Batch, and so I was like, oh shit, that's the master. Oh shit, that's Kanan. He's just
Hmm.
way younger and doesn't sound like a 40-year-old like he did in the first episode of Bad Batch. But
yeah.
yeah,
And his
that's
eyes work.
yeah, exactly. But the fact that like he got to sit in on a training session and he's so
Loves
amazed
it.
by what she can do, and the Jedi Masters are impressed,
Mhm.
except for one, Anakin. He's questioning it. He's this is Jedi test. All Jedi do this. I love that, and like a little bit of Dooku in Anakin we
Yeah,
see there. I thought that was interesting that they have like similar thoughts, similar doubts and questions of the Jedi, and he's like, let me give you a real test, and
We're doing an Anakin
goddamn,
Skywalker test.
yeah,
that's a
yeah, and I
brutal
loved it.
test.
Get the
Yeah,
boys. We're going out back. We're
exactly,
going into the backyard to fuck around.
and I just loved how intense and how hard he is on her, and he's like, this is life or death, and you're my Padawan, and I feel like if anything happens to you, that's on me, and you can't,
The
battle.
best way that I can the best way that I can protect you is teach you how to protect yourself.
Yeah,
Yep.
man, and just he's like, these droids are, all predictable. Not everything in the galaxy is. You gotta just sense what clone's about to shoot you. And again, in traditional Clone Wars fashion, we have Rex being like, "Yo, are you sure she can fucking take this, dude?
He's like, she's gonna learn how.
Yeah, yeah."
She
And it's
might not
like,
right now, but you guys are gonna teach her.
Because
Like
right,
right, he's
I love the one where like because Anakin keeps having her run it again and again and again. First time she gets zapped, she's out for an hour. And then like
mhm,
she's waking up earlier, like I guess every couple times she gets zapped. But she's going and like it's the moment where like she fights them off the longest. And then Rex
mhm.
just goes bam and hits her. And then she wakes up and he's like, hey, that wasn't bad. You did it. You lasted for 5 minutes this time. And she's like, I can do better. Then she just
Oh
keeps
yeah,
going. It's
Mhm.
so sick.
yeah, man, and just like I love the time jumps throughout this episode where we like
Hmm.
then get her
Mhm.
to to probably peak Clone Wars era. She's got
Yeah.
the two green sabers deflecting them, going back and forth. I felt they really emphasized this also by Rex just putting on his Phase 2 helmet, and you're like, okay, shit, like they've been running this drill for a
It's going
long
down.
time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then immediately cut to like the moment straight up like right before Order
Season
66,
7.
and that the whole Hainer fight. And I'm 90% sure that's also Jesse is the lead ARC
He is.
trooper, eight,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
so
because
when they
like I said, I watched the scene right after that, and he's like, Jesse,
Right.
like, we have to make sure we get this right, otherwise, like, we could be tried for treason. And he's just like,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah, and then shout out earlier in the episode, oh yeah, that's Jesse who nailed you. And he's like, sorry about that,
Sorry,
Captain.
Commander. Yeah, that was so good. Just like way in the background, just my bad.
Yeah. And then we end off, on Ahsoka's final arc throughout the show, starting right where episode 3 ends at the funeral. I wasn't expecting this.
No,
you know?
not at all.
Yeah. Mon
Right,
Mothma's there with Bale, and Mon Mothma's husband's not there. So either he wasn't invited or didn't want to go, or she's like, you fucking
Yeah.
sit in the back. I'm not talking to you
Yeah.
during this shit. I was her friend.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, having Andor and Tales of the Jedi drop at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah. You're like, where's her bitch ass husband at?
Exactly, man. She fucking hates him, and he's probably like, yeah, I'm just,
Or
I
just-
don't
He's
care.
like,
for
a
back on
funeral? That
Coruscant.
sounds boring.
Yeah.
Naboo.
Honestly, yeah, he's
nah.
probably just on Coruscant, just chilling.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
probably chilling, yeah.
Yeah. Him and
Dickhead.
her fucking douchebag daughter, yeah. I hate that family so much besides my Mothma, man. And I love the whole exchange that Bale has with Ahsoka
Yep.
at the funeral, but he's saying it to guards, but he knows that she's still listening and she's still
Yeah.
willing to fight for the cause. And then we jump and she's on her, Jedi Fallen Order, you're a post Order 66 Jedi, how do you survive shit? And
You farm.
naturally
You
you just
bale
take up
hay.
take up a working job, and then as soon as
to
a
yourself,
mishap happens,
Mm-hmm.
you can't help but reach out for the Force. And weird that it was to save hay on a farm, like on a farmer. I felt like we could have done something a little bit more substantial. Like with Cal, you get the fact that like, okay, yeah, his buddy's like dead, and his buddy's the one who's the only one on the
There was
site,
like
looking
inquisitors
out for him.
there. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so for this, I felt like we could have done like, I don't know, just anything.
that's-
Hey
more
man,
than a
workplace
melee.
injuries happen every day.
Well, that's also just Ahsoka's character too. Like,
Yeah.
Just trying to help everyone. Yeah, that makes sense. And then
and
I
because like
fucking
hay, even hay by itself, like if you just get a little bit, it's fine. But like when
A
you get
hay bale is
bales,
heavy.
yeah,
Especially if they're stacked like 8 high and then there's like 4 deep, it's gonna get pretty heavy.
Okay, you know what? Maybe she was justified in pulling out the Force there. That was just my bad.
I like
But,
that it was like a perfect shape around her. And then the guy's just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you were lucky, bro."
Yeah.
But like Ahsoka was also holding it way too long. Like it had already landed, and she's just like,
Still do.
"Whoops, my bad."
Yeah. And then, in traditional, Disney fashion, we have to have the one animated character that you just love to hate. This brother.
This
In the
girl's
episode-
brother.
Yeah, in the episode for all of, I don't know, 5 minutes, and you just hate him throughout it.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
the fact that he's overworking the droids and the people, and he,
being
And
a real
irresponsible
Tim.
at the same time. He's like, "What? I'm hungry. I'm gonna have the droid do it."
yeah, exactly. And then he's, may the Force be with you, and
Bitch.
right? And he's like,
Bitch ass. I hate him.
That's why
I
I'm like, he's
hate him.
being a real
Hate this
Tim.
guy, dude. Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
Or yeah.
Whistleblower.
If you a bitch ass in the Star Wars universe, you're just a Tim now, okay?
Because I don't think we learned that guy's name, so fuck that Tim, dude.
Yeah, man. Tim with 3 M's this time. This dude sucks that much,
The
man.
T in Tim stands for traitor.
Oh my god. I hated him so
Yeah.
much, and him spying, and then I love though the fact that he gets what's coming to him. He calls the Inquisitor, and shout out to this being the most badass
I
Inquisitor
was
we've
just gonna
ever
say
seen.
this is the fucking coolest Inquisitor we ever saw, and it's such a bummer we barely got any of them.
I know Filoni and Star Wars animation
so
team
cool.
flesh out this dude's backstory.
Make me a Black Series figure of that dude. I
Oh,
want that guy.
100%.
That guy rocks.
Yeah,
And his
man.
voice was super cool. Kind of sounded like Cad Bane.
Oh yeah, man.
But then we
Please,
get the-
please.
And then he
Oh,
like
sorry.
Ahsoka's there, and he's like, "Who are you?" And she's like talking, and then he just knows her name.
Yeah.
He's like Ahsoka Tano, and I'm like, you gotta fuck this dude up. And then Ahsoka fucks him up without even having a lightsaber and kills him with his own
Yeah.
lightsaber. That shit was
Oh, yeah,
hype as
man.
hell.
That was always the thing in the Clone Wars, though, is that they would do hand-to-hand combat in the Clone Wars show.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
Dude,
yeah,
the
this
2D
felt-
Clone Wars show, Mace Windu was doing hand-to-hand combat like he was Neo in the Matrix, dude.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
but it
Yeah.
was cool seeing the backstory because, like, we see in Mandalorian that Ahsoka has white lightsabers now, so we get to see that how she actually got those from this Inquisitor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I totally
Rebels, I should
forgot
say, too.
she buried her lightsabers at the end of Clone Wars, and so I was like, where like. Did he just burn them? And then I was like, oh no, I'm a fucking dumbass. She like totally gives it up to the point where like, yeah, she buries them. She does the thing where if you want to just get rid of your lightsabers, you just bury them in sand. And so I love she takes the Inquisitor's lightsaber. It was that whole fight was very reminiscent of the Maul versus Obi-Wan fight, where it's like done in 3 moves, like where she just outsmarts him and slashes him down with his own saber. I thought that was
Awesome.
my God, that was
Cuts
peak
his
Star
goddamn
Wars.
head off, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and now at the same time, I'm like, give me a whole show on this guy, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
I
give
just
me a
have-
whole series
oh, yeah.
about that guy.
Yeah,
I just have the note of Ahsoka's just like, I need a weapon.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it's a fucking Inquisitor saber, which
Yeah.
then she takes the crystals from and uses it to make the white sabers. Which
Yeah, because that's the only way you can get a white lightsaber, right? Is you have to re-purify like a bloody crystal
far
or
as I'm
whatever.
aware.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
yeah, and then comes back, ties it back to the beginning of the episode, calls Bail Organa, and although this
For a bailout,
hey,
for the
Bail
people
Hay
who were almost
too.
killed by bales of hay.
Hey, yeah, exactly. And I, still goes to show the power of her character, wanting to save this Tim with 3 M's, this fucking this guy. She's like, yeah, I guess I'll help you out. And just that final moment of like, I'm guessing you're in, and she just
You
gives
ready
the
to
look.
rejoin the fight? She's like,
Fulcrum.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, exactly. And I could just go with between this and Rex and Bad Batch, I could just straight up go for a whole Rex and Ahsoka show
Yeah,
post episode 3 of them just doing rebel shit the entire time. Like,
be cool.
please.
Like
please
reconnaissance missions and stuff like
Ye-
that.
Yeah, everything pre-rebels, but post Tales of the Jedi, I guess at this point, just
Yeah.
goddamn, and give me a show, greenlight that 3 seasons, inject it straight into my fucking veins, dude.
Do an episode where like Rex is like because they retroactively was like, oh yeah, Rex was on Endor in Return of the Jedi. Do like a scene where like Ahsoka goes and visits him on Endor, like right before like Luke and Han and everybody show up. Like that would just be kind of a cool episode.
Yeah, man. Like, plus we know he gets Wolf back together. Wolf and another, trooper
Yeah, I
and
can't
rebels. So
remember.
show. I can't remember the third. Maybe not Fox. I think it's Wolf and just another. I can't actually remember the other guy. But like, give me him meeting them. Give me the the Mandalorian / Return of the Jedi stuff. Like, just flesh it all out, please.
Because then you even
Dave.
get the part in
Beg.
Bad Batch where he meets them too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Give me some more Bad Batch ops. Like, give me it
Yeah,
all.
it would just be cool if we got like spin-offs that are Tales of the Jedi, like that exact same style, but instead it's like Tales from the Outer Rim or Tales from the Galaxy or Tales from like have Tales from be a series, and then you can do like Tales from the Clone Wars or something like that, where it's just like little vignettes of stuff that happens with like
100%.
the Bad Batch, or like I don't know, like just an Omega story, or like
Mhm.
Mhm.
a
Ghost Team
Django
or
Fett
something.
Tail, like like
Yeah.
something like that.
So
Yeah.
I know we've kind of talked through most of the episodes, so I'm just curious if we got to pick 2 other characters to do a season 2 of, what would you guys
So
pick?
So
I've
we
had
have to pick people we've seen,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because okay,
So
I was gonna say
I
Darth Revan, but
I've had this boiling in my head forever, and I was actually going to propose the same question, Alec. I'm glad we're on the same page here. I was
Mm,
going to say, pitch me your tales of the Jedi. I would go Leia and Finn Jedi training. Right?
okay,
okay.
I am
Yeah.
sick of the Filoni animation staying in the prequel era when it's like we now need to, like for me, Clone Wars was always okay. We're fixing and we're expanding on the prequels. It's time to like give that treatment to the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. And so
Yep.
my pitch would be we're getting half episodes of Luke training Leia, and then we know that Leia then goes on to train Rey, so then we get Rey training Finn, and you basically see how Luke's teachings of the Jedi carry on to Rey and then pass down to Finn, also confirming that Finn is a Jedi, right? And just having that similarity, which then, for the I guess general public of the galaxy, their legacy of Luke is him, facing down the First Order and saving the Resistance. But then we also have the actual legacy of Luke within Finn, where he's now going to uphold, the same values and the same training and like training and I
Mhm.
guess code of conduct, throughout the galaxy and then that also leaves him, to put him in that post episode 9 movie that we're hearing about. So that
Yeah.
would be my pitch. Yeah. How
interesting,
about you guys?
interesting.
Yeah, for me, as if you want to need some more time, Aaron, like, because I didn't really think of like a whole story arc or like the whole connection between them, but the one I actually saw a tweet, and it's one of those things like I can't think of anybody else. Leia and then Ben Solo.
That was my second one. Yeah,
Ooh, okay, yeah. Yeah, honestly, I could when we did the pitched episode for Star Wars, which you can check out. My whole thing was a 2D Tarkovsky Knights of Ren thing where we see the training that Kylo
right.
went through. So
Mm,
if we got Tales of the Jedi with Ben, my God, dude, I'd eat that up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first one that popped into my head, cuz like, I had like little thoughts of like, oh, Kit Fisto would be cool cuz I love him, but like
Yeah.
mm,
I would like to like research or do a story of somebody who like had like conflicts, kind of like Dooku, but not tread the same ground, because this was a very different situation. Like what ultimately led Ben to leaving is because what his truth in his head was like, oh, my uncle tried to kill me. Like
yeah.
Mhm.
I can't, I'm not safe. Like I have to go. And then
Right.
him forming the Knights of Ren and going to Snoke would be really, really interesting
Mm,
to explore, because we haven't really treaded a whole lot of ground in that New Republic area yet. As for my other, I'm going to say Ezra Bridger. Like
ooh, I
so
love
like
it.
and like I haven't seen a whole lot of the animation, so I know that they focus a lot on him in Rebels, but
Mhm.
we don't know what he's up to now. So we could
Yeah.
do a story later, or we can do a
Yeah.
story like way earlier on. But
Yeah. Oh,
Ezra
I like
Bridger.
that in the sense that like we see Kanan at the beginning of Bad Batch and here and then
Mm,
in Rebels. I like the
Mhm.
idea of getting him surviving on his own and then Ezra surviving on his own
Yeah.
throughout like
yeah.
after the events of Rebels. Like I think that would be a very very cool way to tie those two together. A Kanan
Yeah.
slash Ezra
And then
focus thing.
getting like, the Tales of the Jedi season we just got, where they're like pretty in sync of timeline wise, getting like two completely different timelines of is Rebels like right after Order 66? It's like when the Empire's like establishing themselves, right?
I think it's just
Or
before episode 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Empire
the Empire's
time, and then
established.
way later than that with Ben Solo would be really, really cool.
Yeah. I like that. Well, any final closing thoughts, statements we wanna make here before we wrap up?
I did forget to mention. Oh yeah, Star Wars is cool, but I forgot to mention that Dooku loves his transforming ships.
It's true.
Yeah, absolutely. dope ship design. But yeah, I'm right there with you boys. Star Wars is cool. Go watch more Star Wars animation if you haven't already. Please. It's
I'm going
fantastic
to
all the way throughout.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Some peak Star Wars. Like this video. Let us know what you thought of Tales of the Jedi below. Watch Andor, watch the game reviews, watch all the content, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff. And we will see you on the next. This is the Waypoint.